What's up? This is actually part 3 of the full guide series, and today it's going to get super crazy. I didn't hold back at all. I prepared an entire Google Doc of what I'm going to go through, which I then am going to share with you in the comments. And also I've put timestamps into the video so that you can actually go ahead and skip to the part which you think is the most applicable to your situation right now. And I personally believe this guide is helpful for people who are actively scaling right now, people who've made money dropshipping in the past but are struggling to do it again, and only beginners who want to prepare. Whatever stage you're on, if you can learn only one thing in this video, then I feel like I've done my job. So you have no excuses not watching the video all the way through the end. So let's get started. And the very first step, it makes a lot of sense, but I barely see anyone actually talking about this and doing this. You have to know what your goal is. And there are two main different approaches in ecom that people follow, and the first one being a cash flow machine. Now the goal is here to have the highest net profit a month with the least amount of headaches. And the idea is, you, instead of scaling one specific store unbelievably high, once you reach a certain point, you start adding in new stores and scaling up new products to a point where you have the highest margin with the least amount of headaches. As you know, if you increase your revenue, you're going to deal with bigger, more important problems. And so instead of doing that, you just go ahead and pump and dump new products all the time, ideally multiple at the same time, so you can just have something which makes you which prints you money every month. And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this approach. So if this is what you're doing right now and this is your plan and this is your goal, then I love it. So a lot of people think, like, there's this narrative of, dropshipping versus real ecom, and I have nothing against none of those. Both of these are very good vehicles to making money, and I personally believe whatever your goal is, it's both completely okay. And even if you're pump and dumping dropshipping products, it's super okay. So if this is what you want to do, then do it. Then go ahead and do it, and don't let anyone tell you that this is not okay. And also with this approach, you're barely going to have any employees. You don't focus at all on company value, and this is obviously faster to make work, right? And you also have no responsibility. So this has downsides, but it also has a lot of upsides. And as I said before, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this approach. If you want to do this, then by all means go ahead and do it. This is one of the best vehicles to making money right now, in my opinion. So if this is what your idea is, if you don't plan on selling your company down the line, couple of years down the line, then obviously you're going to optimize for this and you don't care about anything else. Now, the other option is that you have an asset that sells for 7 to 8 figures a couple of years down the line. And the idea here is that instead of just, taking all the profits and buying a Lambo, you're going to reinvest everything into the business. You're going to put all the money back for a long period of time, and you're actually going to focus a lot more on human resource and actually hiring people, building a team, basically scaling a real company. And what you're going to optimize for is the value of your company. And I've actually put a little equation here, which is the new customer acquisition times lifetime profit of each customer divided by the risk of something happening, or the risk of this new customer acquisition times lifetime profit actually continuing to work over the next couple years. And there's ways to optimize all three of these, and every time that you want to increase the value of your company, you just look at all these three and see which do I lack the most, and then optimize that. Focus on that a lot. And these two approaches are ultimately extremely different. And before you even get to product research, before you even start ecom, before you even make the Shopify store, think about what your goal is. Do you want a brand that sells couple years down the line but is going to probably produce you so much less profit now? Or do you just want a cash flow machine and without giving a shit about all the big problems and just basically looking for new products over and over again? By the way, like I said before, both of these approaches are completely fine and okay. There's nothing wrong with just having a cash flow machine and pump and dumping products. Once you actually start making money, is you have to focus and fix your backend. If you grow without solving your problems, you're growing your problems. And this is especially true with your e-com backend. First of all, you have to get an LLC. Just make everything legal and real and pay your goddamn taxes, all right? With taxes, don't try to get around it. Don't try looking for ways. Just pay them. All right, that's the easiest way to like survive. Just pay your taxes, or just move to Dubai, or do some shit like that. But second thing is you have to also have your ad account structures in place. Now, there's a couple of things that are super important here. First of all, you need to have a Google Merchant Center and not only your ad account. Most people don't have this, and the thing is, if you actually don't have your Google Merchant Center set up and only use your ad account to run ads, and the ad account gets banned, then you're back to zero and all your pixel data disappears. So what you have to do is you're actually going to go ahead and create a merchant center, and then you can just create new ad accounts every time something happens to another one. This is fine on Google. However, you have to have this merchant center set up. And I know Google Ads Manager is a pain in the ass to use. I know it's super difficult to set up conversion tracking, all that kind of shit on Google, but trust me, it's worth it. And do this, all right? You need to fix your backend. I know this doesn't make you more money immediately, but the backend is something, if you don't have this and actually do run into issues, then you're really then you have a huge problem. All right, so second thing, you have to have a meta structure, which is actually almost ban proof. And basically how that works is you have two BMs, and one of them holds the pixel, other one actually runs the ads, and then on BM1 you share the pixel to BM2, run the ads with it. However, the pixel doesn't belong to the same BM that runs the ads, and the idea is if that BM goes down, then you can just hop in with a new one and share the same pixel with the BM that is still fine to the brand new BM, and actually keep running the ads with the same pixel. So this is the idea with that structure, and this works super well because, as you know, it's inevitable kind of to get banned on Facebook. It's going to happen to everyone after scaling for a long enough period of time. Unfortunately, this is still how the algorithm works nowadays. These structures are all beautiful, but what you're actually going to need is warmed up backups for everything. So Meta BMs and ad accounts, Google ad accounts, whatever it is, have backups that are already warm. All right, because that's what you're gonna need. If you have a brand new ad account that you have never used before, and it takes you a week to set up, then you're gonna lose all your momentum, and you're gonna get banned if you start uploading all your ads again. So you're gonna have to upload them in batches of 2, and it takes you like 3 weeks to get to the same point where you were before. However, it's obviously not gonna perform the same that it used to, because you just lost your momentum completely, and momentum is super important in ecom. This is what you're going to realize. The next topic is actually fixing your payment provider stuff, and this is something which is also inevitable. This is kind of what happens to everyone after they reach a certain scale, and you have to have backups here too. And with this, it's especially really important to never rely on only one. Never rely on one payment provider, all right? Really try to kind of have multiple backups that you already warmed up. Now, how do you warm up payment providers? Super easy. You just buy your own product a bunch of times, with a 99% discount for 1 cent or so, and then what's going to happen is your dispute rate goes down if an actual dispute comes in, because you're obviously not going to dispute for your own order. And so at the end of the day, your dispute rate or chargeback rate is going to be super low, and this is how you warm up payment processors. Now, there's also something called a high risk processor, and the explanation behind this is always kind of, the more risky your business is, right, the more fees you're going to pay for your payment processor. However, there's always going to be someone, right, that actually is able to process your payments. It's just the more risk that is involved in your business, the higher the dispute rates of your business are, the actually more fees you're going to pay for these high risk processors. So there are private high risk payment processors which do work. However, they're going to be super expensive to use, and you're going to pay a lot of fees fees a lot more than Stripe and Shopify payments and PayPal and all that kind of stuff. So yes, they do work. However, they're super expensive, and I would always try to optimize for Shopify payments and Stripe first before I do anything else, right? And so the reason for that is that, like, you have Google Ads, you have Apple Pay, you have Shop Pay, all that kind of stuff is only available on Shopify if you actually use Shopify payments or Stripe. And if you don't use those, then you don't have the option to use those payment methods, and you're just going to lose out on money, which you never want to do. Now, rule number 3 is keep your money in the business. And this is especially the case if you want to go this approach, that you want to have an asset which sells for a lot of money in a couple years down the line. And obviously you're going to want to have cash flow for scaling. This is a very common beginner mistake. They start scaling and they have no cash because their Shopify payouts arrive on Monday, and now it's Saturday and everything is super cheap, and it works, and you want to surf, but it doesn't work. All right, and you don't have no cash. This happens to everyone. Try to not lose your momentum. Try to not scale too hard. And unfortunately, you're going to have to leave in a lot of money in the business to actually then use up for very good days in the future. And also, you're going to want to have a good risk management, especially once you start having employees, because if God forbid something goes down, if the payment processor holds all your payments, if you have like a big tax check to pay back, whatever it is, you have to have a lot of money in the business still to be able to pay that kind of stuff. And so don't take all of that money out into your personal bank account. That's just stupid. Never do that. And this is how this shit works long term. Now, there's a couple different stages when you actually start scaling. And what's super important here is to not compete on the product, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be thousands of people selling the same product. And instead of just competing on product benefits, for example, let's say you sell a shampoo, there's a million people and their dogs selling shampoos. All right, what you have to do is compete with your marketing. You have to have better ad creatives than the competition. You cannot rely on actually having a better product, which is a little bit better in this and that. And this is not going to work. This worked maybe 10 years ago. However, nowadays it's super unrealistic that you're going to make any money and any profits with that. So now it's really all about marketing. And so up to a couple $100 in ad spend on your ad account, everything that you're going to do is just say, hey, we're here and we're good because of this and this and this. Basically what you're doing is you're throwing creatives at a wall and seeing what sticks. This is why I always preach quantity over quality in the beginning when you actually do test creatives. And that's why I also push this narrative of having so many ad concepts, marketing angles, multiple angles per test, right? Variations, because you want to find only 1, 2, maybe 3 winning ads per creative test. That's it. If you have one profitable ad, you can scale the testing ABO up to a couple $100 in ad spend a day, and you're already reaching that point. You're already at 1 to 2K a day. Super simple. All right, you just need one winning ad for that, one winning creative. And so for that, you really need to say, hey, we're here and we're good because of this. That's it. Now, up until 1 to 2K in spend a day, it's a little bit of a different game, because for this, all you have to do is have multiple concepts and angles that work. So I believe if you're not at 1 to 2K in ad spend a day, you don't have a quality problem. You still have a volume problem. In my opinion, you're not doing enough. You could do more, because at the end of the day, you just need more of these. You just need more of, hey, we're here and we're good because of this and that, and then to actually get to 1 to 2K and spend a day. And so how do you do this? Well, you have to have a creative system. So you constantly have to find winning ads, right, consistently. And you can do that by having a high volume and high leverage and actually iteration process when you test your creatives. Now, you can either I recommend you completely learn this yourself and then actually hire a creative strategist, a video editor, a graphic designer that does all these things for you. However, in the beginning, you want to focus on learning these things yourself. Now, also, you're going to want to go ahead and refresh old winners for new trends or just with new clips, whatever it is, and then constantly add in new angles as well, right? So ad concept essentially is that different people react very differently to different messagings, which means that, for example, some person might buy, a product XYZ because it's, they see a street interview ad, or person B, however, might see an image ad and like that. Person C might, see the UGC unboxing reaction type of creative and be absolutely hooked by that. And you can test this by sitting down with your friend and actually scrolling on Instagram Reels of both. So you're going to realize sometimes you're going to find very, very different things. And so Meta is pretty good at actually knowing what people like. And so to actually get to 1 to 2K in spend per day, you're just going to want to go ahead and test more ad concepts. And you need to have multiple, obviously, that work at the same time. But if you have some, like let's say, one winning ad gets you to 400 in spend a day, then you technically need 5 different winning ads to get to 2K spend a day. And so what you can do to actually improve your knowledge and your understanding about your customers is actually send out post-purchase surveys, asking them stuff like, how long did it take them to unbox the product? Are they still using it? Do they like it? Right? All that kind of stuff. And then what else you can do, and I think this is even better, this is a life hack for every single e-com brand out there: call up 100 customers and ask questions that you need to extend your customer avatar. So you could ask, do you like the product? What made you buy it in the first place? What other competitors have you looked at? How long did it take you to unbox it? Are you still using it? All that kind of stuff. And so when you ask these questions on the phone, if you call up 100 customers, you're going to get a lot of the same responses. And what you need to do then is adjust your ad messaging and your ad creatives to actually fit this. Because if you cover competitors, if you cover what exactly made them buy, then you're going to know what marketing angles and what ad concepts are actually relevant to the majority of your audience. And also what I want you to do is call up 100 abandoned checkouts and ask them why they haven't bought, what competitors they've looked at, maybe what competitors they've bought from, and then actually what made them click on your ad in the first place. Right? All these kinds of things, ask your people. And to be clear with you, this here is enough to make $1 million in revenue a year. So if you spend 2K a day, then I hope you make at least 2.7K in revenue per day. And 2.7K in revenue per day, if you make this a year long, it's $1 million in revenue. And so this is actually basically the whole entire pathway of building a brand, a store that makes 7 figures a year. You just have to, first of all, find one thing that is proven. You have to validate everything by saying, hey, we're here and we're good, by throwing a bunch of ad concepts and angles and creatives and variations at a wall and seeing what sticks. And then you need to scale by just testing and constantly cycling in new ad concepts and angles that people resonate with, up until the point where you spend about $1,000 to $2,000 a day. And this is actually, I'm going to say this again, enough to become a 7-figure brand, which is insane. Now think about this one. Now think about this. Media buying is not important at all. How you run your ads up until this point is irrelevant. For you, it's irrelevant because Facebook and TikTok and all these ad platforms are daily spending millions to make it easier for everyone to run ads and spend money on their platform. That's their goal. They want as many people to spend as much money on their platform for paid ads as possible. And so they will improve their AI every single day, right? They will remove interests every single day. And the goal of them is to actually, at some point, just for you to upload a creative, and Meta does everything. And so how your campaign setup looks like is very different. You have a testing ABO, right? The goal is to overspend. You want to go ahead and see, okay, what's my budget? How much can I spend in 7 days? That almost hurts, right? And then the goal is to find 1 or 2 winning ads that stick. Then you're going to put that in a scaling CBO. You can also scale with cost caps, and you're probably going to have a Google brand search retargeting campaign. This is your whole entire campaign setup for up until $1 million in revenue a year. It sounds easy. It sounds too good to be true, but this is the reality. You don't need to overthink everything, right? You only need 2.7K in revenue per day to make $1 million in revenue per year. And trust me, this is not the most difficult thing that exists. And so you can't basically do anything wrong if you have 10 out of 10 creatives and a solid and a solid tracking solution in place that actually tells you immediately what ad sets and creatives things are coming from. And because as you know, you should not rely at all on the normal Facebook sales channel and on your pixel. So I would actually go ahead and advise you to work with Triple Whale, with High Rose, whatever it is. Find one that fits your attribution window and then actually go with that one. And so I'm going to say this. And so how do you get to the point of having 10 out of 10 creatives? Well, you have a process of creative testing. You look at the data, look at all the metrics: hook rate, hold rate, 25% video view, 50%, 75%, click-through rate, CPMs, and then based off of that, you make a new set, a batch of ads, right? You improve them, and then you have another round of creative testing. This is the whole entire iteration process, and you do this as long as all of your ads are profitable. And so you make your win ads winning, not find winning ads. You make your ads profitable and winning, right? This is how this shit works. Now, everything above that is extremely individual. Everything above $1 million in revenue a year is actually super individual, and like there's not really general advice that is able to help you after that point. Because at the end of the day, every brand that is in between 7 and 8 figures and actually looking forward to becoming an 8-figure brand has very unique problems. And the most common 3-1 is that, first of all, they don't have a proper creative system in place. Second of all, they lack Google push marketing, not only retargeting, but actually buying new customers with Google ads. And they don't have a perfect cold-friendly offer and also landing pages. So let's go through all of these. Now, with their creative system is basically they lack winning ads. A lot of 7-figure brands rely on one single ad creative. So they have a very good winning ad and they're unable to actually find a new winning ad. And that is a terrible place to find yourself in, because if your goal is to have a long-term brand that doesn't burn out in 2 months, and imagine, God forbid, your creative starts fatiguing in a couple months, what are you going to do if all of your 7-figure income depends on one single creative? You obviously have to have a system in place which is able to deliver you more winning ads on a weekly, maybe even daily basis, right? And so you get there by hiring people, by putting in good ideas, by having better concepts and ideas than your competition. It's not about doing 5 times more UGC. It's about actually having better ideas and being more creative and more unique than your competition. And this is also going to be a super difficult thing, but the more people are actually like kind of focused on actually creative strategy instead of just basically the same approach, which is in the beginning you just throw something on a wall and seeing what sticks. This should be what you do in the beginning, testing a bunch of angles and concepts and variations until something works. Later on, if you're scaling from 7 to 8 figures, you want to have a system in place where you have all of your winning variables at some place. You know what worked in the past. You know what's going to work in the future because you have a good input from a creative strategist who is very good. Maybe it's the founder, but you could also, like, if you're the founder, get someone in-house that is actually doing this for you. And so there's a lot of ways to be unique and to actually do this, but it's super important to actually have a solid creative strategy in place to actually be able to scale long term. Now, the next thing is Google push marketing, and there's different campaign types on Google that let you do this. I prefer the Performance Max campaign. It's super easy to set up, and it's basically Google does everything for you, but you're gonna need creatives specifically for Google. So the first thing that I talked about before, which is basically Google brand search and competitor search, all that kind of stuff, that is retargeting. Those are people who are already really hot and already like know the product, know the brand, and so they just Google you up and then they buy, which is obviously very cheap traffic and very profitable, but nothing scalable. Now, if you want to buy new customers on Google, this is one of the most powerful things ever, because so many people are Googling stuff every single day, and this is where awareness stages become important, because now, instead of actually, only getting most aware and product aware and solution aware people from Google, with retargeting campaigns, you're identifying keywords that are working for you for unaware people. That should be your goal. You want to convert unaware people that have no idea about the problem, about the solution, about the product, about you in general, about any competitors. Like, they have no clue about anything. And they basically, let's say they Google, I have knee pain, and you're selling something for knee pain, right? And they Google knee pain. Then there are ways and creatives to actually then pop up as a brand. And that's what you want to do. That, for example, would be a product awareness stage type of ad or campaign, we could say. But at the end of the day, you want to get to a point of actually being able to convert completely unaware audiences. And how to do that? Well, basically you can kind of, if someone Googles how to like prevent pain in the first place, how to like pain in general, where does it come from? You want to identify keywords that are so profitable for you, for your product. And obviously this is very like very like connected to Google push marketing. You need to have a cold friendly offer. You need to have an offer which is able to convert very unaware audiences. And so you need to have a 3-digit extremely high AOV upfront offer with an extremely high conversion rate, making you like at least $2 to $7 per visitor. And how can you do this? I think the easiest way of getting there is to have different landing pages than actually your product page. And obviously, if someone Googles up like how to prevent knee pain and you immediately send them to your product page, they're not going to buy. So you need some kind of advertorial, some kind of blog, some kind of listicle, something that like gives them content and information and value before they're able to convert. Because the colder someone is, the longer the funnel needs to be, the more you need to warm them up yourself so that they can actually convert, especially at like a higher AOV, which you're gonna need to scale to very big numbers. And so what we're gonna do here is actually split test so much that you can't even believe. You can't keep up with the amount of split tests that you do. Then you're doing everything right. All right, I want you to split test 7 offers a week. All right, stop doing this bullshit of like, oh yeah, I split tested this offer like once in my whole e-com store, and now I'm like kind of capping at 5K revenue per day. Well, because you're not split testing enough. You're not actually doing anything. All right, so keep split testing stuff. Keep actually getting so much traffic, keep burning out on money, keep wasting budgets until you identify stuff that is winning. And this is basically how you do it. This is how you scale. The more you test, the more you win. That's for every single stage that you're in right now. This is the case. The more you test, the more you win. As simple as that. And so how do you actually maximize your company value? Well, as I said, I showed you this before. Company value is basically new customer acquisition times lifetime profit divided by risk. And so how do you actually go ahead and maximize all of these 3 variables? First one, new customer acquisition. The goal is obviously to get as many new customers consistently as possible, right? So first goal, consistency. Over a long period of time, you want to prove that you have a very big new customer acquisition over years, right? Not only weeks, months, but actually years. This is going to extremely push your value of your company up. And also you want to be growing because there is no maintenance in business, all right? And obviously new customer acquisition, new customers are the blood of every business. And so you're going to need to have a growing amount of new customers because, yeah, if your business is not growing, it's dying, all right? You can't maintain your revenue and expect for it to still work in 10 years because advertising gets more expensive. There's always new competition. It's always getting more and more competitive and difficult. So you have to be growing to maintain. And ideally, you want to grow faster than average to actually grow, if that makes sense. And then you want to optimize your lifetime profit. A lot of this is retargeting, but also product development because you want to go ahead as a brand and pump in new products all the time and optimize your current products so that you get customers to buy again. So you're going to focus on your whole entire customer journey and customer success. So you're probably going to hire people in customer success management and customer relationship management all that kind of stuff. So what you're going to do here when it comes to retargeting is you have specific top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel ads, right? Very basic. You're going to have proper email and SMS flows and campaigns, and not only the basic Klaviyo ones, but actually hiring someone that knows what he's doing there and that's able to put out quality split tests with a very high volume, and obviously Google. But this should be something which at this point you should already have been doing for quite a bit. And product development is something which is a very interesting topic, and you have to kind of understand the market at every point. And sometimes, they're super good marketers, however, they're just like kind of 2 years behind because the market continued to like develop, and they are still using the same tactics and strategies that worked 2 years ago. And so you have to be up to date when it comes to product development. You have to identify trends. You have to have very, very good suppliers. You have to have a very good connection with your suppliers. Ideally have a warehouse, have very good shipping times, have extremely high product quality. All these things are necessary to survive with your brand over a long time and to actually maximize this variable in your company value, which is the lifetime profit. Now, how do you actually minimize the risk? And the easiest way to do this is to, instead of having a bunch of agencies making your creatives, doing your media buying, all that kind of stuff, having everyone in-house, having employees. That's what that means. In-house means you hire them. They are with you. They're working actively for you. You pay them a salary. And so the goal should be to get rid of every single agency. Very unrealistic if you have an agency right now that you're going to be working with that same agency in 5 years from now. All right. Again, agencies have super high churn, and you should always look for people that you can hire, that you can build a team in-house, because that's going to increase your value of your business. If you have your people, if you have a team in-house that you can then put into the hands of someone else, that is where you that is what makes the big difference between a $1 million exit of a brand and a $50 million exit. And believe it or not, this is how this shit works. All right. So obviously I'm still not there yet. I am completely working on this right now myself. All of my time currently I'm putting towards this. And this is basically what I've prepared for you in the Google Doc. Now, chances are that if you're watching this video, you are not there yet. You are not looking to solving these problems yet. And that is completely fine, because I found that most of my people that watch my videos are actually beginners or just kind of like a little bit more experienced people. And for you guys to have the advice to do your thing, do your pump and dump, improve your skills, and then later on, if you actually want to start a long-term brand, then put all you have, all the money you've made, all the skills you've learned, all the time you've leveraged, put it into the business. And this is going to make you successful in the long run, even though it's going to be painful and it's going to be very risky, and you're going to be scared and afraid, and it's going to suck in the beginning, and your business is very likely might even fail, right? And so this is what I really want to try to tell you. It's about taking risks. It's about doing new shit, because if you're not doing new stuff, you're not testing, then you're not growing, all right? And every time that you make a change, every time that you change something up, that is where you grow. That is where something happens in your life, even though it's painful and even though it hurts. And I've already made a complete full guide about mindset and all that kind of stuff that plays into this, but I really want to encourage you to don't let anyone tell you that whatever you're doing is wrong, all right? Because if you're improving your skills right now with your pump and dump stores, if you're learning about product research, if you're learning about ad creatives, about marketing angles, about ad concepts, if you're learning about video editing and graphic design, if you're learning about crafting offers, if you're learning about like product development, if you're learning about copywriting, if you're learning about media buying, all that kind of stuff is super important and are skills that you're later on going to use as your fundamentals and as your basics to build upon that. And this is how all of this stuff works. Just like in school, you learn something and the next year you use that as your fundamentals to learn something new. And the advice in this video that I gave you, I want you to save this in your brain, because if you're not there yet, if you're not in the if you're not making any money now from e-com yet, and you don't know where to go, you're lost in all the strategies that are out there, then I want you to understand this video, If you didn't understand it, go back, watch it again. There's nothing wrong with that. Save it in your brain somewhere very deeply, and then once you're at that point that you're gonna need this guide again, then you either just take that piece of memory out of your brain, or you just pull up the Google Doc that I've put in the description. However you want to do this, I hope I could actually help you in this video. And if so, then please go ahead and share it maybe to 1 to 2 people if you liked it so far. That would mean a lot to me. And please go ahead and write suggestions in the comments of videos that you would like to see, because at the end of the day, I'm making these videos for you. I want to make ecom accessible for everyone. I want to end all the guru BS that is out there. Believe it or not, I'm getting DMs daily from people that, you know, watch my videos, implement some stuff, and gotten their first sales, you know, scaling, which is amazing to see. And so yeah, go ahead and suggest what kind of videos you guys want to see on this channel in the future. And with that being said, I wish you a beautiful day.